Hello and welcome to our show. The Holy Book says that bring up a child the way he should go, and when he grows up, he will not depart from it. That just tells you the importance of upbringing in the life of an individual. If children are properly brought up, the society at large will be better for it. Yesterday, the conversation started and we had a lot of guests in the house, and almost every guest and respondent all agree that there is indeed a decline in our moral values, and that parents and guardians need to go back to the drawing board if we want to get it right. Okay, so we'll begin our show this morning with a backgrounder put together by Francis Ogbe. It will attempt to answer the question of, are parents living up to their responsibility? Are schools doing what they should do as far as inculcating the right values in our children? And what, in the first place, is our national value? Let's see this together.
It is safe to say today that honesty, hard work, godliness have given way to all kinds of manifestations of lawlessness and degeneration in our national life. Our value system have been badly eroded over the years. The long-cherished and time-tested virtues of honesty, integrity, hard work, punctuality, good neighborliness, and patriotism have given way to dishonesty, indolence, unbridled corruption, and widespread impunity.
In the past, I will tell you that Nigeria as a nation is a country that has regard for excellency, has regard for achievement. When we pass JAMB, they enter university in your village, the whole village will know, you have gotten admission. And it's something to be celebrated. Those are the days that academics, achievement, integrity is being regarded. You will come home with car. The first thing your mom will ask, where did you get the money? How did you manage? Your father will ask you, because your father actually, you just started business 2 years ago. How did you manage to? Your father will not even be interested in entering your car. Until your father, you must have told you will tell your father, this is how I managed to get this car. Or maybe I've done this. Your father will not celebrate you.
The family unit is the primary focus of value reorientation, informed by parental roles, goals, values, and manners that influence the children's social and moral behavior. Are parents today living up to their responsibilities?
To a large extent, no. Have you forgotten up to today that our parents officially or formally pay for admission for us, pay for us to be given admission? But you know those days, the joy of a parent to say that your son wrote JAMB on his own and passed. So parents equally have contributed. These days of don't flog my child, discipline, whether you like discipline, have departed from our schools.
The school is a worthy platform for the restoration of our cherished values and at the same time used to change our orientation. The school, being an agent of social reproduction and transformation, is expected to assist the society in its attempt to socialize the people.
When we are in school, for example, you discover that if you see a senior with only 1 year, that's a person in class 2 while you're in class 1, you must surely call the person senior. Not to talk of seeing a senior prefect without you talking in, automatically you will be disciplined. Do you get the point? But these days, can a teacher actually discipline? I'm not talking about a fellow student. I'm talking about, can a teacher discipline you without your father coming to fight? Is it not last year or last 2 years I witnessed a mother that allowed her daughter to put this, what do people call this, an eyelash, or what do you call it? A mother, and you allow your daughter in secondary school. Then if that girl enter university, what will happen?
The kind of value adopted by a nation greatly determines the level of its development. Any nation that would indeed be great must be established upon enduring national values that binds every individual in the corporate entity.
Leadership slows down. As a father, you live by example. Do you get what I'm saying? Where your son is watching you, cutting deals of the government, and then you want your son equally tomorrow. Okay, let me give you just a very little example. A boy that is still in the university will carry a car that is virtually 40 million. I will come to traffic light to stop him, and he's making a call, and the driver will say, and the parents will say, release him. And the father is one of the leaders of Nigeria. The father is a politician. Automatically, you are releasing the boy from the cage to be a wild animal.
We do not need to look for new ways of behaviors for Nigerians. Rather, reorientation of the positive values that have once sustained the Nigerian public and private sectors should be encouraged.
The political class have to deny themselves of some of this extravagant and expensive life. Our parents have to remove being too busy, doing nothing, and come back to homes.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on assessing our value system in Nigeria. How far so far?
Weekend Deal. Indeed, there's so much to do. There is indeed so much to do. We need to go back to the drawing board. Yesterday, I was telling you how way back in those days, our parents were gifted with a gift of non-verbal communication, especially our mothers, where they look at you and you know exactly what she means. And if you don't know, when you get home, your body will tell you. And one other sin you don't want to commit way back was not greeting your elders. But these days, it's different. You see a mother pushing the child, greet uncle now, greet auntie now, because they don't even know that the proper thing to do when you see your elders is to first greet. Well, let me leave it, because NTA Port Harcourt has done a wonderful job on this, and it is titled Parenting in the Past and Now.
There is no doubt that the world we live in evolves with time. Taking a walk down memory lane, flashes of my childhood reminds me of how greatly times has changed. The attention I got from my parents growing up and the kind of relationship parents have with their children today shows that parental upbringing has totally taken a different dimension.
Parents of nowadays, they feel. Why I say that is that they don't keep their children well. You understand me now? Their children can come from school now, you will not even see them till the night. And you, as a parent, you will not ask when they come back. In the olden days, you can't try it.
I go to bush to set trap to kill animal, and maybe perhaps use for a domestic use or sell and buy myself dress. Those areas where I can kill bush have been taken up by estates. The local water have been taken away by some other things. You understand? And now the children that we have born under this stage, this time, can no more see that bush that I have seen before.
Parenting then, I can say, was worth it. Yes. Was worth it in the sense that there are some norms that were imbibed in children, and those norms work. For example, a parent saying don't sit on a mortar, it won't do anything. Now that we have grown, we've known. But then you see it that wow, if I sit on a mortar, there is a big taboo. But what they are telling you in essence is just hygiene. They just want to be hygienic, knowing fully well that thing is used for food.
In recent times, childcare has been replaced by newer and more flexible approaches, such as the social media, nanny syndrome, crèche, fast-driven technology, modern lifestyles, leaving behind the former, what is now referred to as old-school parenting.
In those days, if your child is playing football, they will beat the child and so on and so forth. But these days, parents, they understand. If your child is doing something, you try to encourage, you try to channel it, you try to guide. Because a child talking too much could be a public speaker. You never can tell. Maybe an orator, a lecturer, president tomorrow or something.
As the saying goes, different strokes for different folks. Why few people believe in the recent approach to parenting, others still prefer the old ways.
This present time, I think a lot of activities has taken parents away from most of their parenting responsibilities, making children not to actually know their left from their right.
When it comes to over busy schedule of parents, it's really affecting the children. No time to really educate the children on some basic things that should be. You know, they said charity begins at home. So parents these days leave everything for school. They leave everything for the teachers to do. They no longer sit the children down to teach them the basic things they should know about life.
Now children don't know how to do household chores. You cannot sweep the house, you cannot wash plate. It's the mother that will do it, or what do you call them? House help. How does that child become useful to herself or himself when he reaches the level where these things are very much needed?
With dedication and commitment to being the best parents, we can collectively maintain a balanced approach in grooming and raising our young ones into becoming responsible adults.
Well, the argument or the conversation can keep going back and forth, the past and the new. I think it's just very important that we take the good of the past and combine it with the good of the present, and we'll be there. Okay, children are very intelligent, even right from very young age. You see a child just 6-9 months, that baby knows exactly what he wants, and they know that, and children can also be very manipulative. A baby that does not want to sleep on his or her bed knows that when I cry, mommy or daddy will run to me. And so the moment you put that child on the bed, the child begins to shout and cry. And before you know it, you've carried the baby, she's sleeping, or he is sleeping on your arms, or even in your room. So, and as they grow, they increase their manipulative tendencies. Now, there's an old saying, I think it's Anike the Bird that said it. It says, since men have learned to shoot without missing, I will learn to fly without perching. The next report is from NTA Abuja, and it is about handling manipulative children.
Children learn early that manipulative behaviors usually gets them what they want. Using some typical expressions like emotional blackmail, lying, tantrums, shutting down, negotiating, dividing and conquering, or playing the victim. Children manipulate their parents as part of their normal routine. But when we step way back, we can see that our children can only manipulate us because we allow their behavior to be effective.
No, I'm just telling you to be calming down.
Don't calm me down. Don't calm me down.
I want you to be calm down. So if that rest small, you must rest, mommy. You must rest a little.
Well, I think children, just like adults, they also have cognitive structures like adults. In order to get more gain, maybe they could cry or do some things that can make their parents do what they want. So just like they're just thinking like adults. The parents should be able to uphold their values very tight to make sure that these children kind of adhere to these values.
At times, when you talk to your parent that you actually want this, they will not be able to pay more attention to you than when you have to buy your own way out. Generally it cannot be stopped. To me it cannot be stopped because it's a continuous thing. Even kids who people just give birth to do it, like when they want something else, they have to cry to get it, and the very moment they get it, they keep it. So I don't think it's something you can actually stop now.
But don't take the bait. When your child tries to manipulate you, respond, don't react. Stop negotiating. Hold them accountable. And don't be emotionally blackmailed.
You should study your child. Study your child and know how your child is. While you are studying the child, you should know too that your child is equally studying you. If you are a difficult parent, your child now begin to learn on how to treat you or how to handle you. So when you see children treating their parents like that, if you go into deep investigation, you find out that sometimes, in most cases, the parents have not been fair to to the children. When the child gets frustrated, he will now devise a way of getting it from you. So that is that. So parents will have to study their children. If you study your children, because it depends on the stage of the child. If your children is about maybe becoming an adolescent, for instance, then at that case you have to be extra very, very careful. So when parents, properly monitor their children, when they monitor their children, if they are deviating, they will guide them. Hey, come, if you are doing this, it is not good. If you do this, it is not good. See, I have to do this before I get this. So before I get this, I have to do this. So know that it is not easy for me to have this. So when I give you this, please respect it, use it very well, use it judiciously.
Write it, write it, write it, write it. Good.
When a child exhibits manipulative behaviors, it may seem like an artful and calculated con job. But stand strong. Separate the emotional content from what your child is trying to get. Recognize manipulative behaviors so you don't get sucked in by them.
Indeed, parents must up their games as far as handling these children are concerned, because they're very intelligent and highly manipulative. Okay, like I always say, we want to hear from you. Please do join the conversation, as our phone lines is all right now on display. Let us know what your thoughts are as far as this very important topic is. Let's move on quickly to NTA Medigre, and the feature is environmental issues in child upbringing.
The well-being of society is largely dependent on the moral health of its individual members. As such, knowing good morals values at an early age builds a child's character. It forms the very core of their being and becomes the foundation of their moral beliefs.
A child's mind is a blank slate on which experience writes on. It means when the child comes to the world, there is nothing in the mind. What he takes in, what is being told, the joy he passes through, the pains he passes through, all these things are being internalized in his own memory. And as he grows up, he tends to reflect upon it. Just the way he learns to eat, he learns to speak. So also he learns to be a lovely person, to be very difficult person, volatile, and all sorts of things. So the family environment is very, very essential. And that family environment, we divide them into what we call high-risk family and low-risk family. High-risk family are families that hardly have time to take care of their own children. They have the child from day one. The mother doesn't have a time to look after the child. The father is always busy. They have to employ a nanny or employ somebody. Now, that is what I may call conflict of personality development.
The environment in which a child grows up, be it family, the neighborhood, school, among others, all play a big role in how a child develops.
Parents, in most cases, do their orientation either positively or negatively. We cannot see that because in some houses or homes, what parents A see as a positive in parents B may likely not be positive. So the growth of a child is very, very important in parenting. Not only parenting, but to the value of a society and the social norms of a society.
In law, there are certain laws put in place to take care of a child. Child Rights Act. Now, if you go to the Child Rights Act, there are certain child must enjoy the right of education. You must enjoy the right of being protected from any harm or evil. That is right of security, etc. So, but the problem we are facing now, a spade is expected to be called a spade, because sometimes you may even find the laws. But how about implementation? When it goes to implementation, certainly you'll find it very difficult. Now, even the father himself, when the father did not get something that will attract his life to say he's enjoying the life, then when you move to the child, it will be something different.
Parents parenting style also have a great impact on how a child's behavior develops. As children's development is influenced by a wide range of factors that are governed by both nature and nurture, therefore, understanding some of these factors can help a long way.
So parents should be able to spend quality time with their own children. Not that, you just go and then you leave, you don't know what. Even if you don't have time, when you come back, try and find out. You spend the remaining time with them. And here also, the parent, the male gender, the husbands, they should also take part of blame. It's not squarely just about the mother alone, also the father.
Now more than ever, our children need guidance. There is just too much distraction around them that can lead them astray. Let your activities be embedded in their memory as early as possible.
Thank you, NTA Medugri. Like the last respondent said, parents must create time for their children. Nothing you're doing as a parent is important as bringing up these children. I read somewhere it says parenting is a very difficult job, but the most fulfilling job ever. Okay, we sometime in the week, our first joining the conversation right now is our first guest who stopped by in the studio sometime during the week and had a chat with Thelma. He is Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliu, a politician. Let's see this.
Thank you for making the time to be with us, Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliu, a businessman and a politician.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you join us. How would you say, what were the values that you platformed your life upon that defined who you are today?
As a person?
As a person.
Well, 3 values actually. 1, the religious values, the cultural values, and the national values. And all of them put together made me what I am. First of all, as a Muslim, there are certain values that all Muslims must abide by. And also as a Fulani man, a herdsman, there are also some values that you are supposed to abide by. And also as a Nigerian, there are core values also Nigerians are supposed to go by. So combination of all the 3 made me what I am today. And I thank God all the 3 of them are extremely good. And if we follow them strictly, whether you're Christian, there are good, Christian values too. So if as a people, we go through these values, because no culture, all cultures have good values. So, if we abide by that, then we're good.
Nigeria will be a very great country. But let's look at where we are today, and especially the younger generation, referring particularly to the youths. Would you say these values are also prevalent in their lives? Are they abiding by values such as this?
No, sadly no, to some extent, because look, what are our values? Our values start from even the way we speak, the way we dress. Now, when you look at our kids now, some of them are wearing dreadlocks, which was not part of our values at all. Or some, speak garbage language. It's not part of our values in this country. No religion preaches that kind of thing. So in terms of those kind of things, we have a lot of work to do as a people, as families, to inculcate our values into our kids, our youth, so that let them know that the values we have can be compared to values of any other country or any other religion. So I think we have a lot of work to do, honestly. You find out that our youth, with due respect to them, some of them call themselves the Malians. That's across the country. Are those kind of things our values? No, certainly not. Our values, do our values condone smoking, drinking, all sort of things? No. So some of those things really, we as parents need to teach our kids, kith and kin, that look, let's go back to our values, religious, cultural, and national.
But this teaching oughtn't it to have begun at a younger stage? How did we miss it? Because, or have we missed it at this age or stage where our youths are? At your age, at the age that some youths are now, when you were their age, perhaps you already had some responsibilities you were handling, family-wise, nation-wise, you know. So can we go back to the drawing board, or can the work continue with the youths as they are at the start?
Well, sadly, we've lost it. You know, back in the days, we didn't have social media. Now you have social media. I mean, like a youth from my village, which is probably the remotest part of this country, can communicate with any part of the world and can attempt to learn the values of other nations or other people. So honestly, we've lost it, and we've lost it because of the globalization of communication. But what do? I mean, our religious leaders, traditional leaders, and also political leaders need to lead by example, need to start all over again. That look, all those values that our youth copy from, I mean, are not our values. Our values, no matter how archaic the kids think, that's the right one. I mean, thou should not drink, thou should not do this, and so on and so on. It's not part of us. I mean, keeping dreadlocks, you know, all over the place, unkempt, you know, that's not part of values also, unless if you have dada, which is, you know, like the natural one or religious one. But otherwise, there are certain things that are simply not our values.
But are there certain things that are valuable from other clans that we can imbibe and inculcate that work well?
There are. I mean, like, you see, sadly, for us, there are certain, like, work ethics. Those are values that we don't have in this country. Where those other clans that we borrow their dressing or the way they speak, they have work ethics, and they value what they have as a country. They value their national flag. They value their oath. You know, they value so many things, which here, sadly, we don't. So if we copy those kind of things, you know, keeping to work, I mean, going to work when you're supposed to do.
Being prompt,
exactly,
being punctual.
Don't be corrupt.
Being honest, diligent.
Exactly. So those kind of
trustworthy,
things.
loyal.
I mean, no matter what you say of like the Western world, there are a lot of values in terms of trust, you know, and promptness in doing things. I mean, when you give a contract, something to produce a product in the Western world, if you agree with them on something, you are sure you get what you have promised. Back here, you turn your back around, something else is done. So those kind of values are good that we should inculcate, we should borrow, and then drop the bad ones we have.
Okay, that's interesting. But let me come back to what some of our elders are doing. We can describe you as a statesman. You are a politician, you are an entrepreneur, and if many youths wanted, they could role model their life after you, because you must have been doing some things consistently well to get to where you are today. You're highly respected. That's why we often call on you to come and enlighten us further. Let's look at the political sphere now. We have many youths who aspire to be politicians. With the values on ground now, can we expect that they will be able to fit in and perhaps even do better? If not, what ought they to change so that perhaps, willy-nilly, some of them can be leaders of Nigeria?
In fact, some of them shall be leaders, you know. You know, there are so many things that we, the politicians or the older ones, are not doing right, honestly. We're not teaching the youth, you know, the right things, like lies. Politicians tend to lie. Politicians tend to say what they don't mean. This is across the world, but then here, in this country, there are some of us that will tell you lies. Tomorrow they will repeat the same lies. So I pray our youth don't take, to take up those kind of values we try to give them. Now,
but aren't they often white lies or harmless lies?
Well, sometimes yes, but then look, why do you lie? You know, what I'm trying to say is that, look, let them not take from us those kind of lies, whether they are white, black, yellow, or pink. Once you are known to say the truth, tell the people the truth. If they don't elect you for telling the truth, someday, one day, they will understand. And we can't continue going in this round cycle that one person will come and disappoint, you know, another one will come and disappoint just because we're doing the same thing all over again. Now, let's start by learning to tell the truth, no matter how bitter, no matter what it is. Just like as a nation now, let us try to look at us as a people. Don't look at anybody because of where he comes from or because of the religion he practices. If any Muslim does anything wrong, we in unison should have the values of this country. The Constitution shows us that, look, we should elect the right people. So these are the kind of values that we should have, the youth should have. That, look, let them not do what we are doing now. Let them not do politics of religion or ethnicity. Let them, like when the NSAS came, it was like broad-based. I mean, it was the youth all over, you know, so they had something in common. Yeah. So let the youth go in the right direction, not in the NSAS manner, in that manner of brigandage and destruction, but let them go in unison to do what we are doing that is wrong. Whatever they feel we are doing that is wrong, let them come and correct it, not in a brigandage manner. But so those kind of values, I think the kids should learn and pick the best that will fit them.
Some say that we're doing so much talking and less action. What other ways can we utilize to communicate with people that if we don't all come together to do what is right, we will continue to lament?
Well, that's exactly what's happening now. You find out that you have bad governance, you have bad leaders. Why? Because the people don't understand that you need to vote the right people across board. So if we continue not tell ourselves the truth, if you continue to allow politicians to deceive you, then it will be in the same thing. But now that all of us are in it together, everybody in this country is suffering now. Everybody. Because this is the only country, no matter how rich you are, you could be inconvenienced. There is no electricity. That's the truth. I mean, you find how much people are spending in this thing. So the people need to hold leaders accountable. Ask questions so that if they don't give you good answers, when the time for election comes, don't vote for them, whichever party they belong to. So we have to start from those kind of things. Otherwise, we'll keep lamenting, be talking every day like a talk shop, but let's act. How do we act? Make sure any leader who does wrong, don't vote for him or don't vote for his party.
Or don't vote for her too.
Exactly.
Be a lady.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Well, that's it.
You should be a lady too. Okay, I want to
Yes.
thank you for coming to enlighten us. Honorable Farouk
Adamu
Aliu. Yes, it's very enlightening. Values are integral, and it's up to us to continue to spread the message. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're watching Weekend Deal. We'll take a break. Don't go away.
Welcome back, and thank you to Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliu. And like Thelma rightly said, that conversation was indeed enlightening. Let's quickly go over to NTA Kano, and the feature is on traditional way of bringing up a child.
It's been observed that traditional way of child upbringing is gradually losing its values. a child inevitably brings forth the issue of norms, values, and beliefs in a society. There are certain factors that raise the issue of traditional way of child upbringing gradually fading away. Example, the traditional parent teaches their children to prostrate while greeting elders, whereas the modern parents are okay with the hello and handshake way of greetings. Successful parenting is not about achieving perfection, but it doesn't mean that we should not work towards that goal.
Okay, thank you very much, NTA Kano. Our first live guest is in the house. He is Dr. Kabir Kabo Usman, the DG CEO of Islamic Center for Islamic Culture and Education. Sir, you're welcome to
Thank you
Weekend
very
Zone.
much.
Okay,
Thank
so the conversation have been on.
Yes.
They say that upbringing vis-a-vis our moral ethics, our moral standards and ethics. And what do you think our standards, our moral standards actually falling? What is your take on that first?
Well, naturally, in every society, one of the critical elements that distinguish those who know and those who don't is education. And we lost the plot because we are focusing on education that is based on qualifications, rather than not only about learning, but inculcating moral values. And I will take you back to the memory lane.
Okay.
When we were obviously in primary school, there were three most important people in our society. First of all, whoever is a village head, and the second one is the headmaster, and the third one is the chief imam or the reverend of that particular, locality. And these people, they have a lot of respect by each and every one of us actually in the community. But we lost that. There is an exponential decay in terms of what? The moral values, because we are focusing and very, very busy, focusing on how to read and write, on how to possibly do a lot of things in terms of skills acquisition and knowledge application. And as you know, in education, there are three critical factors. Knowledge is one of them, skills is one of them, and attitude is one of them. But we focus on knowledge, skills, and less emphasis in terms of attitude. I have seen what people say, about lack of dignity and respect, actually by the children. Now, there are so many factors that are responsible to that, because we say charity begins at home.
Yes.
And one of the critical factors is one of it, of course, is even the children, the parents now themselves are very busy. They are not taking their utmost responsibility of ensuring that, these children have got all the moral etiquettes that is required actually in a society. I will give you an example. When we were children in school, if you do anything wrong, you can be sanctioned not only by your parents, even by the neighbors. They will come and sanction you, and even if you go home and say somebody has sanctioned me, you will get another sanction from your parents because there is respect for culture. Exactly, for being sanctioned. So this issue, there is something wrong, with the direction within which we are going. So it's not just the fault of the parents, it's not also the fault of the children, it is equally also the fault of the society, because we have to have an education that is relevant to our culture, relevant to our values. Every society, you know, they have got their own way of doing things. They got their culture, they got their tradition, they got their norms, they got their etiquettes, they got their mannerism and all other aspects. But we are actually missing the plot. And that is critically, you know, one element. We have to go back into education.
Education. Okay, now, my takeaway from what you just said, and I just imagine a scenario. Let's say a young man has finished school and has a sparkling result.
Yes.
And is going to apply for a job, maybe in the interview. I'm thinking, if one of the things they're going to score the child on, or the young man or woman on, is morals, let's say how the child behaves. Maybe if we inculcate morals in one of the things we look out for in employing, how employable somebody is,
yes.
Would that help?
Well, it will help in a sense that, you know, the essence of education is to make you a better person. Education is not about jobs. Education is to make you a better person in the society so that you can contribute in the society in a very positive direction.
True.
So obviously we need to inculcate in them. Education is not just about jobs. It's about what is your responsibility to your parents, what are responsibility to society at large. So you don't have to link it with employment, you know, white collar jobs or other things like that. Because you can obviously, you know, create ways of earning a living. How many people are employed in federal government? They are not more than 1 million. The whole entire federal government in terms of the public service.
True.
And what's the population of the country? Over 200 million. So if you say, I'm just going to rely on white collar jobs and the formal employment of going to the office, you know, at 8 o'clock and close at 4:30, you miss the plot. It's to make you, you know, a better person, you know, and you all know what is really happening. The consequence of this moral decadence is now the issue of insecurity. And not only the issue of insecurity, issues of unemployment. And not only issues of unemployment, and there is utter poverty. Because that's what it is. The children miss the plot. We have not been telling them, we are not asking you to go to school so that you can come and get employment. No, we want you to be a better person so that you contribute positively in society. Exactly. And that is one of the things that we really have to inculcate in terms of our curriculum content, you know, to emphasize.
Now, we know that Nigeria as a nation is a very religious country.
Yes.
I mean, almost all of us are either Christians or we are Muslims.
Correct.
And these people from the society are the people that form our political class.
Yes.
Why are we having the kind of negative things we see around our politicians or politicking in our country, knowing that most of us, almost all our politicians are either Christians or Muslims?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because you see, there is a difference between Nigeria being a religious country and also being a godly country. We can be religious but not godly, because in every religion there is a do's and there is a don't. Which religion says you should not like to others what you like for yourself? Which religion says that you should not respect elders? Which religion says you should steal? Which religion says you should tell lies? Which religion says you can take law into your own hand? Which religion says you should be a banditry or an armed robber? Which religion says you should be involved in kidnapping? If you look at all these things, religion is talking about tolerance and respect and understanding, because it is someone's personal choice. And that choice needs to be actually respected. So unless we inculcate this understanding, even to our teachers, this is why we are having this issue of, you know, cultural norm. And this is now what I call acculturation of culture.
Acculturation of culture.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I will take this message. As you were talking, somebody sent in a message. He said, this is Amo Temitayo Adeshino from Ibadan. Well, when talking about all this moral aspect, the genesis of them all is discipline. Those days, a child could be disciplined either by the biological parent or non-biological parent.
Yeah.
But it isn't like that again. In education, if you mistakenly speak your dialect, your job is gone. Then some of our political leaders are not helping this matter in the sense that they mislead the youth. We are shouting we are one, but they are gradually dividing. So please, I plead to all political, religious, traditional, and educational leaders to rebuild this nation. This is from somebody in Ibadan. He's saying that in those days, anybody, like you said, I think he's just saying exactly what you just said, that anybody could discipline a child.
Yes.
And that we must learn to build our country and not do the wrong thing.
Well, obviously, you should expect this situation, to happen because in education in particular, whether it is formal or informal education, there's the issue about child abuse. And we know that people abuse children for one reason or the other. We should not lose sight of that. And the society in itself that we have been brought up, continuously there is a moral decay. So even those who know are having challenges because in their own time, there was less moral values inculcated in them as compared to what it was in the past. So obviously there is this culture of discontent that, well, I expect you to do this. If you don't, then you cannot abuse a child. And I don't think the corporal punishment, help in any way in handling a child. You can smack a child,
yes,
but you cannot hit a child. And that is the difference, so that they realize and recognize that what they have done actually is wrong. And this is a corrective measure. Corrective measures are important, but punitive measures, take the children, to the other side of the pendulum. So it is really important, for us
to create the
to
balance.
understand.
You can smack a child, not hit a child.
Not hit a child.
Not be punitive about it.
Yes, exactly.
So that there's a balance and the child knows you're doing this.
Just to correct.
Just to correct.
Yes,
not
exactly.
Because you hate him or
absolutely,
her.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's really very important.
It's extremely important.
Yes.
Because some children today are damaged because they were so beaten,
yes,
and they went to the other side.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you. So we're ending this discussion. Your final words, sir. What do you say to Nigerian finally?
Well, it is a responsibility of all Nigerians, to make sure that we go back into the application of rule of law and apply sanctions wherever is possible. And irrespective of that person, whether it is the children, whether it is the family, or whether it is in the community, rule of law and its application, and we do it with a sense of sincerity. And that will really move, the culture, tradition, values, and norms, of Nigerians onto the other side of the pendulum.
Okay. Thank you so much,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Kabir Kabo Usman.
Thank you.
It's been a delight speaking to you.
Thank you very much.
So much I'm taking away from the discussion as a mother myself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so we'll go on the break. When we continue, we deal even more. Welcome back. It is Weekend Deal, and the conversation has been focused on child upbringing vis-a-vis our moral standard, ethics, and values. I'm smiling and a bit excited because my second live guest is in the house, and she is a woman. She's a woman. It's been all male. So I have a sister in the house. She is a social worker and the CEO of Secure the Future Initiative. Please join me in welcoming to the Weekend studio, Sadatu Adamu.
Thank you for having
You're
me.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so the discussion is about bringing up children. I know that you are a social worker. What have your experience been?
First of all, should we talk about the problems of moral values? Because I feel that a lot of things that we really don't look at are the values, goals, attitudes, and manners in which, children put in. And where do we see those attitudes I'm talking about? Where do we see those manners I'm talking about? Where do we see the goals and values that we don't pay attention to? We see them in crime and violence. We see them in drug abuse. We see them in addiction. We see them in trafficking. We see them in a whole lot, but we don't pay attention to that. And why? Why do we, focus on other things and not pay attention to the little things that we find children doing? Injustice, corruption. You find a little child who understands what corruption is all about and he's into it. Why is it that we don't pay attention to these things? Unfortunately, parental influence. A lot of parents don't pay so much attention to the very little attitudes they see in their children. They don't pay attention to the very little goals and values you expect to see from a child. You know, you see them and you just feel, oh no, you know, it's the 21st century, so a child can behave in a certain way and all of that. We don't pay attention to very, very little things. And so it's unfortunate that you go to schools now and you find a young child who is already a capon in cultism. He lives with his parents and no traces. No one understands what he's doing. Now let's talk about the mental set. If we do not understand mental well-being and lifestyle, then there's a problem. And that's why you go to schools, unfortunately, young children are involved in so many things. But, excuse me, they come from homes.
They come from homes. And teachers dare not talk these days.
Of course, because a parent will even go and challenge you.
Yeah.
So I think the main attention should really focus on parents. What are you doing? Who are you bringing out? Are you concerned about the relationship your child keeps outside? Do you even know his or her friends? Do you even pay attention to very little things that he or she does? You know, those are little things I think we need to focus on. Then, of course, one thing that I have also realized, you know, in my experiences, we pay so much attention to religious leaders. You know, and to be honest with you, I think if we do pay so much attention to them, then I think they need to do a lot of work, because millions of people actually focus on.
Follow and focus on.
Exactly. So what are you supposed to see from a religious leader? What are you supposed to see?
Now, for our children, when a child is damaged and a parent do not have access to a counselor, how should a parent handle this even at home? How do you start to talk to a child like that who has gone off the line? Where do you start from? Let's say and you don't have access to a counselor.
Now let's talk about one major thing that every child needs or feels he's expected to be given. One is love. When you find a child, no matter what he's doing, be it drugs, trafficking, whatever it is, he wants to first of all feel the love, that he can truly relate with you, that he can truly trust you to tell you things. So first, love. Second, build trust between you and your child. And then thirdly, things can begin to unfold. Because if a child can trust you to say, whatever I tell you, I know you're going to keep it to yourself, and then we don't have to go, I don't have to hear it from someone. That's one. Two, whenever I tell you stuff, I know you're not going to judge me, but you're going to help me. You know, so you know that a child will be willing to do that. So being very hard, you might not really get the results, you know, but being that loving person and then showing the child, that he or she can trust you without judgments, you know, it's easy for you to find a child who really wants to share his or her secrets, you know. But most times, unfortunately, why we don't get anything from our children is because we're too hard on them.
Okay, but another thing I'd want to say is this: when a child trusts you, you know, and that child realizes that the trust he has put in you fails, because these days, okay, now we'll say that these days parents are liberal, but we are seeing so many cases of children committing suicide.
Yes.
I read it over and over again, and I am shocked, because I thought parents these days are more liberal, children have access to so many things, but children are committing suicide. That is scary. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So let's talk about suicide. Suicide is not just a one-day thing. You know, it's a gradual thing. It grows. It starts from depression, you know, feeling a certain way, until you feel that, you know, I'm hopeless.
Why should a child be depressed? Please talk a little about that, because so many, I hear children getting depressed.
So to be honest,
you're supposed to be free and happy. You're fed. You are given food. Why are you depressed?
I like that question. Why are you depressed? Everyone is prone to depression. That's the truth. We all go through struggles of life every day, and so it depends on how you take it. How I take it. I might be that strong person who understands that, you know what, if things happen like this, I can just move on and, you know, still be myself. But you find another person who will not be able to take it. So depression, everyone is prone to depression. And what are we talking about when we say depression? Sticking to one thing that keeps your life on hold. And so when you stick to one thing that keeps your life on hold for a long time,
you just feel that that problem can never go. So when a problem does not go, what do? You want to find a solution to it. And that's where the suicide thoughts begins to creep in, you know. So, but a lot of people can actually go through that because you know that life generally, there are challenges. And for me, I'm a Christian. I mean, the Bible has never promised that there won't be challenges, you know. So going through stresses of life every day, we will find ourselves either being depressed or anxious over certain things. Most people, either they get depressed or others could actually be anxious, you know. And so when you're stuck in a particular place, you just feel you need the solution or an answer to whatever situation you're going through. And most times people come up with suicide. Let's talk about the suicide thing. I mean, a lot of young kids now focus on relationship. They don't even know it. What is relationship? What is love? You don't know it, but you're in it. So if you don't find a way to go out of it or learn it more, you find them thinking deep and talking about suicide and talking about, you know, because they're not having it their way. You know, I read stories of young children, maybe 18 years, 20, already talking about love, expectations, and you don't get it, and you begin to talk about, or rather write notes on suicide. So if you don't know something and you're stuck to it, it gets you to that point where you just feel, if I can't get it my way, or if I can't, get it the way I just want people to see, then, I mean, I can commit suicide. Sometimes, again, the trend I'm talking about, social media life. You see this one posting pictures of how properly he lives his life or not. It's possible that the life you see on social media is not even the real life, but you're here sitting castigating yourself telling yourself you're well. And so you just want to go to that line of, you know what, let me just end it. If my friend that we finished school together is already doing this, she has this one, what am I doing? You know, so suicide. So getting yourself stuck in a situation where you can help yourself. I mean,
it's been so nice talking to you, Sada. I have so many questions to ask, but time, we're running out of time and we'll end it. But not to worry, I'm sure we're going to invite you again and we have more to talk about.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. I'll read this message. It says, good morning, Weekend Deal. Value, respect for each other in our society today is very important. That is the truth. And thank you, Sadatu Adamu. We always appreciate what you do. This is from Adamu, Sani Adamu, Tundu Jokun, Zaria. Indeed, this conversation, the takeaway is the fact that there is truly a decline and the parents must go back to the drawing board. We must be very, very careful and watch out for our children. The things we don't like, we must stamp it out and inculcate into them the right things. No matter how busy you are, the most important job is bringing up that child. What you neglect today might haunt you tomorrow. May God continue to bless Nigeria. May God continue to bless us. Goodbye. See you next week. God bless.